welcome to Krafty Max Originals third Beadalong. You guys all have your supplies, and hopefully you've put them out on either a bead mat or you can use a paper towel, works really good too, to something to stop the beads from rolling. The first thing that we're going to do is you've got a threaded needle. Take your long tail and wrap it around your pinky just a few times. Remember not to do it so tight it'll cut your circulation off. Okay? And then you're going to pick up one pink, one pink, one pink, until you have 4 of each color on your needle. This is our first round. Okay, so if you started with a Swarovski crystal, you need to end with a seed bead. Then you're going to take, and you're actually going to go back around through the entire set of beads that you just put on your needle. Oop, somewhere I lost the top seed bead. There it is. Okay, and pull it through. Now, if you've done beadwork with me before, I tell you that most everything you do with me, there's no knots. Well, guess what? You get to do knots in this one. So you're going to do what's called a square knot, which is right over left and left over right. Now, it doesn't really matter which way you go as long as you go in reverse. That locks the knot. Now, I like to then wrap my pinky again, and what that does is give me kind of an anchor to hold on to. You do not have to wrap if you don't want to. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to move one away from wherever your knot was. So go back through the seed bead next to the knot, and that puts the knot kind of in the bead and a little more protected. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to pick up 5 of your purple seed beads, 1 of your pink seed beads, and 5 of your purple again. Okay, once you have those on your needle, you're going to go and put your needle through just the next seed bead, going the direction that the thread is coming out. This is creating a flap to the envelope, is what I usually call it when I teach it, because it looks kind of like a little flap coming out. We're going to do this all the way around. So you're going to do 5, 1, and 5. And every once in a while it comes out right like that. And then move to the next seed bead. And go to the next one. Five, 1, and 5. And go to the next one. And this stitch that I'm showing you is actually considered a netting stitch. And although we are making earrings, once you've learned this stitch, you can just continue it on and make it longer and longer, as long as you would like to make it into bracelets, necklaces, anything that you'd like. Now, on the last one, we're going to go through that seed bead again. Now, it should be a little tight because the knot's in there, but that's okay. Just kind of wiggle it through. And then also take your needle and move up these 5 seed beads and come out of the pink seed bead at the top of your flap. Okay, so you should have 4 flaps ready to be closed. So now we're going to pick up a purple crystal and go to the next peak, which is the pink bead on the next top of the flap, and pull it through. Okay, go to the next, add a purple and go to the next peak, and if you watch where your thread is coming out, you'll know which one is the direction that you need to be going. And I know my fingers are getting a little in the way at the moment. Hang on, let me pull the thread tight and you'll see what's happening. I got a knot. And the knots happen quite a bit. It's usually not actually a knot, it's more of a slip. So if you just pull back on some of the ends, it usually will come loose. Except when you're trying to make a video. See? Now you have your 2. We're going to do it again. And we're going to pick up a purple. And if the tension comes loose on those, don't worry. Once we get to the end, we'll make sure it's all tight. We're going to go through a pink at the top of the peak. And one more time. And sometimes you have to loosen it up a little to get the needle through those little tiny seed beads. There we go. All right, now when we pull it tight, we've closed all the flaps of the envelope, and you have a little stacked on top of each other Swarovski crystals. Okay, so we're going to make one more set of flaps. And if you can't do the beads like I do like that, if you touch them with your hand or the palm of your wrist, then what happens is they kind of lay to the top where the hole is straight down and it's easier to pick them up. Okay, so 5, 1, 5, and you're going to go this time through the peak of the row before, and then when you pull it tight, you once again have your little flap out there. Now you need to keep the tension tight. So on this round, tension is very important. On the other round, when you're adding the crystals, you can pull it tight at the end. 3, 4, 5, 1. Now you can use all the same colors, but especially for a beginner, using 5 and a different color and then another 5 makes it so that you can see the peak and you know exactly which bead to go through each time. Okay, going through this peak. Again, the row below it, the pink one on the row below it, I'm going to pull it tight. And if you do get your tension a little loose, just go back and kind of pull the peaks out, the little envelope flaps, and it'll tighten it back down. One last one, and we are over halfway done already with this earring. All right. Now, once again, we're going to go through that peak and up to the next peak. And knots happen, or slips. Just pull back, kind of just rub it between your fingers sometimes works. All right, so there is your 4 peaks. We're going to add pink Swarovski crystals, going from this peak to that peak. And pull it tight, and look what happens. It stacks right in between the other layer. Pick up a pink. Go through that one. 2 more, and we are done with this earring. As far as the bead weaving part, this is a very simple stitch. It's a wonderful stitch to use as a rope to add things on, or as a bracelet. Again, this is circular netting is what we're actually doing. And this one always is a little harder because you're going back through where it's already been a couple times. And that tail just wants to keep getting in the way, doesn't it? Maybe I should do a video on how to disengage the knots. All right, so this is your finished bead woven center for your earrings. All we have to do now is take your needle and thread and tie off your thread. So what I generally do, because you don't want a knot next to the crystal, that's why we pushed it over into the middle of the seed beads, is I move it down 2 or 3 seed beads, and again, just follow the path of the thread, and then you do what's called reverse slip knots. You go under and through the loop, and if you go from the bottom to the top, then on the next one you go from the top to the bottom and go through the loop, and even though they are slip knots, because they're reversed, they will lock together. And I generally will do at least 2 sets of them. So once you're done doing your knots, cut your thread, and then thread on your needle to the tail that you had wrapped around your pinky, and do a couple knots on that and cut it. And then tomorrow come back and I'll show you how to actually turn this into an earring. See you tomorrow.